Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts to get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket, and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
Yes, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God it is a fabulous Friday night. Thanks for joining us wherever and however you may be watching. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show. I'm so excited to be here live with all of you guys. Like us, follow us, and subscribe to the channel. iHeartRadio, YouTube, Twitter, X, and IG and TikTok is where you can like, follow, and subscribe. Hit the bell button and keep you up to date on future Bass shows. We've got a stacked interview lineup. Snowman, Brian Snow, is going to be joining us here in just about a few seconds. And we've also got one of the very best analysts in the NFL, Deb Whitcas, will be joining us here in just a few moments as well. Got a lot to unpack. So much going on from there, but like I said, NFL's over, but doesn't mean that other major sports is not continuing on. NBA, NHL trade deadline, and then at the same time, spring training is going around. So I'm excited for what Major League Baseball is going to be. But at the same time, like I talked, in the last episode where I had Mikey Hughes with us, I mean, the uniforms were just absolutely atrocious in Major League Baseball. Why would you change the look? Why would you change the name lettering? Why would you do, I get it if you want performance and you want comfortability for all of your players. But good God, this is a generational game. It's America's pastime. And if you start changing up on the look and you start changing up on some of the names, look, like I said before, there's many long last names that I've known over the course of history in Major League Baseball. That's where I'll start with at least a couple of minutes because fans are outraged by it. And look, the longest last names that I know off the top of my head, Greg Deichmann, who was one of the outfielders for the Chicago Cubs. He's been in the A's, their minor league system for years. It's a long last name. Anybody recall when Jared Saltalamacchia was in the league and we all know his last name literally covered half his jersey in the back? I get that if you're trying to shorten up the names. But Major League Baseball fans and players are so outrageous by Major League Baseball, who signed a contract along with Nike to basically have Fanatics push out all of their jerseys, and these jerseys are cheap. For God's sakes, the jerseys that I've held in my entire life, they've all been Majestic. Majestic is comfortable. The numbers and the letterings, they don't get it wrong. Everything is balanced. Everything is organized. And at the same time, players love the comfortability. I understand if you're trying to make these Nike Vapor, breathable jerseys and all the rest of it, but why on earth is like the tail end of the jersey showing a see-through through the pants. It doesn't make any sense to me. I could see that. So it's like, this is cheap material. Look, Major League Baseball has been on the burner for me for the last few years. I've been calling out Major League Baseball for years because at the same time, in the next couple of years, this is what I'm happy about. I'm happy of the fact that at the very least, Rob Manfred, he's not going to be commissioner for once his tenure is over. He's not going to be commissioner. But the thing about it is that, good God, you could make Major League Baseball better than what it is. And right now, look, there are international stars that are out there. So many international stars, from Vlad Jr. to Fernando Tatis Jr., from so many big time, even like Ronald Acuna Jr. And you're not getting this right with the uniforms. This is outrageous. And look, I love Nike. I wish I could see the museum in Eugene, Oregon. But for God's sakes, this is ridiculous. I mean, could you imagine how outrageous NFL fans would be if Nike ended up partnering with Fanatics and then they got this wrong for all like just NFL jerseys in general? When we had the color rush, we had all of these other throwbacks. The NFL and Roger Goodell would absolutely get all the jerseys off of the shelves in a heartbeat. NBA is the same exact way. I mean, look, I love seeing some of the brotherly love jerseys that the 76ers would wear. I would love a little bit of like the cream kind of look from Milwaukee. But at the same time, Nike is better and smarter than this. The owner of Nike, has gone to school in University of Oregon. They're the first ones that basically get the jersey prototypes. And that they are the first ones to say yay or nay if these jerseys are appropriate for field play. I mean, for God's sakes, Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred has to be better than this, because this is part of the only major sport in America that is not affiliated by Nike is the NHL. They're affiliated with Adidas. And look at the Stadium Series jerseys that we got from New Jersey and Philly. I love those. The Flyers look completely clean, and the Devils, the red with the black, collab. I mean, this is great. But I mean, this is just outrageous. But I think at the same time, Major League Baseball for years and years on end has always found some sort of way to have me put them on the burner for the last few years, since the time when the COVID shutdown happened and we had a shortened season because we couldn't figure out when are we going to play, how long are we going to play, and then when the postseason's supposed to supposedly start. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting guys like Anthony Rendon, who apparently says baseball is not part of his priority, even though this is your full-time job. This is what provides for your family. And at the same time, die-hard blue-collar Americans who are out there who are paying all their hard tax-paying dollars just so they could purchase a ticket and watch you play on all these Major League Baseball fields. And you're saying baseball's not a priority, and you're not going to make the Angels a priority to win a World Series, let alone make the postseason? I mean, Major League Baseball, they have to do better. I mean, Rob Manfred, since Bud Selig retired, I mean, I understand with what Rob Manfred could do and what he has no power on. But this is ridiculous, because at the same time, you're having old school baseball fans clash with new generation kids that say, let the kids play, but at the same time, have respect, honor the uniform that is on the front of your jersey because that's who you play for. And at the same time, look, you're not going to cross the number ratings when it comes to hockey, let alone the NFL. The NFL is number one on all television ratings. Thank you, Taylor Swift. Thank you, Travis Kelce. Thank you, NFL and Roger Goodell, for at the very least providing us with great rivalry games. Major League Baseball just is so far on the back burner that the NHL Gary Bettman is doing everything that he possibly can to make sure hockey games and hockey night continues to be great. I mean, this is just, I'm hoping that these uniforms better be off the counters by the time opening day starts up, because players are outraged by this. They're not complaining about the performance of the uniforms. I mean, the last year's uniforms was great. These were actual professional ones. Listen, if I was to go into an important meeting with great sports analysts, or at the very least, the best of the best in the sports industry, you think I'm just going to walk around like I look like my cousin Vinny and basically get a rental tuxedo and just say, I should have wore something better than this? Come on. Even I've graduated college where I'm like, I would want to look better than this and be professional. So Major League Baseball professionals should look the same exact way too. I mean, this was just outrageous. It's ridiculous, but Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred need to get it right, because otherwise, baseball, as you know, it's going to become a dying sport. You're going to go back to the same exact way just before when the Boys of Summer in 1998, who saved your ratings, because when Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds, the home run hitters, and even Ken Griffey Jr., who saved your ratings, by the way, which you should be giving them kudos to that. This is what's going to happen. And baseball, I don't understand why people still think that Babe Ruth is the greatest player when we're literally watching the greatest player of all time right now, who's international. He's not American blood. Shohei Ohtani is literally like, he's dominating the sport. How could we still say that Babe Ruth is still the best? Shohei Ohtani can pitch. Shohei Ohtani can hit home runs, and he could certainly steal bases. So we need to stop with this crap. Major League Baseball needs to get better. They need to get better before time runs out, because NFL, you already know, is kicking your ass. NBA, and look, Adam Silver, he's not perfect. And we know about the whole, we already know with as far as load management goes, it's not perfect, but it needs to be worked on. And NHL, lots of players we know are in the player assistant program. But at the same time, they're not cutting out. They're not walking out on some of these hockey games. When the second the gloves get thrown on the ice, oh yeah, you know it's game on. But Major League Baseball, we got no kind of entertainment whatsoever to basically pop on a television for at the very least about 3.5 hours to watch a baseball game on television. I'd rather be walking right down to downtown Denver, watch a Rockies game, even though they're going to get their asses kicked by the Dodgers, but I would rather be up in Coors Field enjoying a dollar beer night, because that's who I am as a baseball guy. So come on, Major League Baseball. I thought you were better than this. And it's worse when it's Nike of all companies. So you got to get better than this. Throw Fanatics through the back burner. You better get Majestic back, because this is, yeah. I don't know how else to really kind of break this down, but even though, and I appreciate all of my guests who are here on the show, because I know when I get on my outrage with Major League Baseball, it just takes. This is why I love the NFL more often than I do a Major League Baseball. And I'm a baseball guy. I've been grown up in a baseball world for years. So it disappoints me to do that. But the NFL is so king for it. This is why I'm like, I push more for being a football guy. But one of the best in the business, and as you know, the Blitz had taken over in my hometown in Las Vegas. Absolutely loved their content. Absolutely loved the experience that they had in my hometown. So excited to have them on. So joining me here via the Global Satellite Network, presented by StreamYard, one of the best in the Blonde Blitz, NFL analyst Deb Whitcas joins us. I mean, look, I know everybody had to hear my outrage with Major League Baseball, but it's like, for God's sakes, for years, I've been to Yankee Stadium. I've grown up basically being a baseball guy. My pops, my old man, basically his backup catcher was Kansas City Royals great Mike Sweeney. And then and then at the same time, my biological father was scouted by Mike Lieberthal's dad. So at the same time, Major League Baseball, I used to love it when I grew up as a kid. Watching.
My dad played for the minors for the Phillies, so I'm a baseball girl. I grew up three rows from home plate. The wives sat behind. I'm a baseball girl. I love that you just went on an MLB rant. That's my favorite.
Yeah, and it's not the first time that I basically had Major League Baseball on my radar for the last few years, because when we had COVID happen, they don't even know when the season was going to start. And at the same time, we know it's a long season, 162 games. It's way too long. Nobody has enough time for that. That's why they love the NFL. So I would say shorten up the game to at least 100 games so I can get 50 of them out the way by All-Star break. And then by 50, I better see division rival games. I better see interleague play like Dodgers-Giants or Dodgers-Yankees every single year. And then that way, by postseason, I could be okay with the transition.
Right.
But I'm not crazy for basically saying this, because Nike, of all companies, they are so good when it comes to NFL jerseys. They have been so good when it came to NBA jerseys that when I look at these Major League Baseball jerseys, it's like, I just want to literally hurl all over this stuff. I'm not wrong, right?
No, the football jerseys have definitely taken over. I don't know about in Philly. The Philly jerseys are pretty popular still. But do you feel like, I feel like baseball has gotten faster though. The new rules last season really sped it up a bit. So it's not as painful to watch. And I can't believe I just said baseball and painful in the same sentence, because as a child, I would have gotten, in trouble for that.
But seems like in the last two, and you're not wrong. I feel like in the last 2-3 years, it kind of felt like they literally have started to get closer to being correlated with each other, because at the same time, it's like, it's been America's pastime. I've grown up I've learned life through baseball.
Yes.
Anytime I take on certain challenges, I'm up to the plate. I'm waiting for what life, the pitcher, is going to throw at me.
Yep.
And however I'm going to adjust to it is how I'm going to strategically go against it. And so,
that's amazing. I love that you said that.
Yeah, and so it's like, my thing with this is that, Major League Baseball for years and years, I do love the new rules. I like the pitch count. I like the fact that I think it's hard for batters, because at the same time, they're being rushed to being back into the box, but you have to acclimate to the change. But at the same time, I am not opposed to extra runners at second base when we go into extra innings in the regular season. But postseason, completely different. Because think about it. Hockey has done one of the best things possible when we're out of regulation, when we're against the 3-on-3 on overtime. We're going to go into the shootout until we finally get a winner.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean crap when you go into postseason and Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yep.
So it's just like, I just think Major League Baseball, they are admitting time and time again, we're not going to pass the NFL in ratings. We are certainly not.
Nothing is passing the NFL. Regular TV programs are passing the NFL. NFL is just the end all be all at this point.
Yeah. And think about this. I used to grow up where Fox Sports was everywhere in baseball. I used to see Sunbelt in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I used to see Ohio sports for both Cleveland and Cincinnati, and even prime ticket when I would watch the Dodgers until they ended that contract in 2013. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with it.
I love that you brought up Ohtani too. How powerful is this player? I'm so excited to see him with the Dodgers. You got to still give props to Babe Ruth though. He still holds the record. So does Pete Rose. Ohtani's amazing though.
The Bambino. Good God, I have a portrait picture of him that has been sitting in my parents' garage for 15 years. And at the same time, you got to give respects to the Bambino, but at the same time, can't we just love some of the new talent that we're bringing in right now? And this isn't even our American blood talent. Looks like something cut out. But yeah, it's not our American blood talent. That's the crazy thing. The NBA is dealing with this. Hockey's dealing with this, but again, hockey is dominated by Canadian and Russian players. So yeah, so like I said, Deb, before the cutoff is I
don't know what happened there, but we're back.
But the thing is these are American-born players. These are players from Dominican. The NBA is going through this transition, and even hockey. Hockey was never ours to begin with because Canada and Russia and Sweden have been prominent in the game. So it's like, when is America going to honestly step up in this? Because I used to love the boys of summer when I would watch Mark McGuire and I would watch Barry Bonds. And eventually we're going to get Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame. So enough with the outrage for a second. But let's get to the matter at hand. So first of all, I got to hear about the experience because in my hometown of Las Vegas, like I told Nikki before when I had her on the show, is we are so known to put on a show. Las Vegas, you want to be in production business, go to Las Vegas. That is the best place because I've been to 18 Golden Knights games and every intro has been phenomenal. And then we had the Super Bowl and where you guys got the best content out there. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you. We're still releasing it. We're still there was so much. We did at least 3 or 4 events a day and we were there for a week. And it's always my favorite week of the entire year. I live for it every year, and it goes by way too fast.
It really, really does. But you know what, though? That's how Las Vegas is, though, too, on an everyday basis. It goes so fast. It's a 24/7 town. So I'm thinking about this because, of course, I've said it before. I love the fact that women are making a killing in the sports industry, and you've been doing this for years. So. At the same time, when I hear this outrage of, oh my God, Taylor Swift is only there for a few seconds. We've had years where we've had celebrities and artists who showed up in football games. So to see the ratings be as high as it is, and then Nikki told me this, where a lot of young women are now starting to get educated in football.
Absolutely, yep.
What impact has this now become in the world of the NFL?
It's amazing. And, Jen Welter, speaking of Super Bowl, Jen Welter had 2 amazing events during Super Bowl week. She had a day in the life. Sorry, my cat just wants to be a part of the podcast. This is Olive, everybody. Hello, she loves being on camera. So Jen Welter had 2 amazing events. One was a day in the life where over 200 women came, and it was we were there for 6 hours and everyone learned about football, the X's and the O's. And then we did skills, and we all kicked, and we all were O-line, and we blocked, and we, learned how to throw a spiral. And it was the most amazing thing. And it was amazing for that camaraderie too, of all the women getting together. And then also she had a girls camp for girls 12 to 18, as well on that Saturday morning, and the Joy Taylor Foundation sponsored that as well, and MJ Acosta was there as well. So that was great to see. Those girls were killing it out on that field. They were going for it. Flag football. It was amazing to watch. They were getting coached up by Jen and her, some former NFL players, and some women from the women's league. It was just amazing stuff. I think it's great. I heard 47% of this year's viewing Super Bowl were women. A lot more. I heard a lot of comments about how young girls were watching with their father and they were asking questions. They wanted to learn more. And that kind of started a little bit before Taylor Swift, because Nickelodeon started to play, a game or 2 during the season. And a lot of the, fathers were like, oh, my daughter finally wants to watch football with me because it's on Nickelodeon. So that kind of started it. And now with Taylor Swift, it's just at first I was kind of Taylor's there. I like Taylor. I like some of her music. I'm not a huge fan. I've never been to one of her concerts. Nikki's more of a Taylor Swift fan than I am, but I'm not against her. And the fact that she's bringing it and girls want to learn about football, amazing. Why are we poo-pooing this?
Yeah, and I think more of the outrage. I think more of the outrage, like I told Nikki, is that because of the fact of, you got to think about who she's basically together with. It's Travis Kelce, it's the Chiefs, and it's all this other stuff. So it's just that's why a lot of men are basically outraged by this, because they're tired of hearing of Kansas City. They're tired of hearing of Travis.
Well, that is true. I think everybody's tired of everyone in San Francisco to win. Let's be honest. But
God.
I knew Kansas City was going to win. I picked it, but I almost picked the score too, which is scary. But
I could only imagine being in the shoes of a Raiders fan where you've got 2 of the most hated teams on your field, and it's just
And I interviewed a couple of the former Raiders, and everybody talked about how Al Michaels definitely had to be rolling his grave.
And how in the world does the audacity that Mark Davis literally said those are two of his favorite teams? Are you out of your mind? Like,
and everyone said Mark was handling it very well. He was obviously very professional, but he wasn't happy about it. But what is he going to do? I mean, it was bringing a ton of recognition to Vegas, a ton of recognition to Allegiant Stadium, and to the Raiders. The Raiders were everywhere as far as like people talking, and I mean, I felt a lot of Raider Nation next to Kansas City and San Francisco, so it was cool. It was a great experience. Vegas is already a party town, and then you put Super Bowl there. Watch out.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I was not sure that if my hometown was really going to be prepared for that, because you have to think this was months to where we had the Formula One series, we had then the Super Bowl, so I can only imagine what the massive payroll that the city of Las Vegas ended up getting at the end of it. So that's why I was just like, and again, you're on enemy territory. My only hope with Kansas City is that you go, you play, and then you get the hell out.
And you
something like
some crazy number of private planes that came in too, because this was one of the most expensive Super Bowls in history. I mean, like I knew people who literally flew in and flew out. So yeah, like it was wild. I mean, I love bright lights. Vegas is one of my favorite cities in the U.S. And it was a great Super Bowl. It was full of energy, and I mean, one of the best games ever as well. Like.
Yes.
With the overtime, only the second time ever in Super Bowl history for a game to go into overtime.
Oh, 100%. And honestly,
like that.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. And honestly, and trust me, like I said, I moved into Denver in November. And so I wished I would have been down there up in Las Vegas, but it ain't to say we can't count out New Orleans for next season.
Exactly. People are already planning for New Orleans. Trust me on that one. So that's going to be a great time too. That's one of my favorites as well.
So, all right. So the Kansas City Chiefs obviously did the thing that the New England Patriots did and go back to back. So clearly they are on everybody's radar for next season. And I think one particular team, and you have covered them a couple of times, that's the LA Chargers and Jim Harbaugh.
And I think they're on my list to be a force.
Yes.
Finally, Justin Herbert has the coach. Staley's gone, which you and I have talked about this before. I fired him probably back in August on the blog list.
Yeah.
I was firing him every week. I was like, what are we doing?
He should have been gone right after that Jacksonville game.
Yep. God. So what had actually happened, I was literally jumping up and down in my kitchen. But I mean, no, I'm excited for So this is funny. Little bum that Kellen Moore is no longer the Chargers, but I'm really excited that he's with the Eagles. So
100%. I mean, this has got to be uncomfortable for, I've said this in my little skit that this has to be uncomfortable for Jerry Jones because of the fact that Dan Quinn is in Washington now. You're facing them twice a year. And then you have Kellen Moore on the Eagles facing the Cowboys twice a year.
Yep.
Jerry's not going to like that. And Jerry loves
you. Thank you.
Yes. So for the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh, clearly we know that after this Super Bowl and after getting a really deep look at Kansas City, even when they were in Baltimore, I think Jim Harbaugh knew in the back of his head, this is a team I need to disrupt, because we've seen Jim Harbaugh do this multiple times. We've seen him be a disruptive force in Stanford with Pete Carroll at USC. He did it again with Pete Carroll when he went to San Francisco against Seattle. And then he did this with Michigan, winning a national title and pissing off Ohio State.
Yep.
Will we possibly see this for next year, that Jim Harbaugh, knowing what Kansas City's capable of, Justin Herbert's ability, that we could see him be the disruptor and what he brings to the table? Because I'm like this. After getting Jim Harbaugh, I want dogs on this organization. I want guys to play. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that, I'm really excited for the Chargers. They're on my list of forces next season. I'm excited to see what Harbaugh can do with Justin Herbert. We'll see some of the weapons that are still remaining in the Chargers. That's my only concern right now, is who's going to be around Justin. because he definitely needs some weapons. I think some of the older players are gonna head out. But we'll see. Yeah, I think Chargers. I'm really excited. I was actually just thinking about this earlier. I'm really excited for these media credentials this season because at least for training camp. So to see like what these Chargers are made of. And to be honest, I was at training camp last year and I saw great connections, but it just didn't work out. Like the defense just ruined.
Yeah. My hope is that by next season, because I mentioned this, now as you can see, you now have the newest host of a newest Chargers podcast known as Charger Syndicate. So I'm talking everything Chargers from here. But,
amazing. Okay.
So my thought is that my hope the Chargers, they retain two players, Keenan Allen and Khalil Mack. And the reason for this with Khalil Mack is because I know his age is coming up, but he's coming off of a highest sacks in his career. And at the same time, he's proving a point. He's not washed. But here's the other thing, what people aren't talking about. He's part of the reason that Thule was built as a second rounder out of USC. And Thule became an absolute threat because Joey Bosa, you could clearly tell he was mentally checked out. He didn't really care exactly what the Chargers were going to deal with. Once he was up in the high booth, he's not with Justin down on the field. So you could clearly tell, I'm like, I want him gone. I want to trade for draft capital. I could get an edge rusher. I could at least keep Keenan Allen or Khalil Mack for 2 years. Get an edge rusher maybe by next season because next year's draft, there's going to be an awful lot of edge rushers that's going to be coming up out of there. So that's my thought on that. How do you kind of, pursue the Chargers with their cap strain?
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to hold on to Keenan Allen. I mean, like that's a definite. I'm trying to think of who else. Oh my God, why am I blanking on their draft pick? I'm blanking on the draft pick. Anyway,
they've got the number 5 draft in. They got the number 5.
Who was their number 21 last year? Was
So the number 21 last year, that was Quentin Johnston.
Quentin Johnston, yeah, I liked him. He didn't show up as much as I would have liked this season. But I think definitely he's still a rookie, so they'll keep him. But yeah, I mean, I think Keenan Allen is the key to a lot of this, and seeing who they pick up in draft, and haven't even started thinking about draft yet. My mind's kind of towards combine. But,
so my thought with this, to kind of help with the refresher, is one is, I don't condemn Quentin Johnston because of what his rookie season gave. I mean, you have to account for a few things. Number one, they had a head coach that clearly was off his skis.
Exactly.
And at the same time, it didn't allow someone like Keenan or Kellen Moore to basically work as an offensive coordinator. I felt like, Brandon Staley was a control freak and he tried to manage the defense, but he was clearly off his skis. So I think, and the best possible response that Quentin Johnston had was once Jim Harbaugh got in the building. Jim Harbaugh has watched him. He has played against him from Michigan and TCU, which TCU upset Michigan. So he's saying, look, you need to bring back the hands that you had in college. No excuses. So I think his build will be there.
We'll be there.
But I think number 5, in my opinion, Brock Bowers just makes too much sense because you're getting the next generation Rob Gronkowski. I mean, look, Detroit has done this. They've got players off of injury, and yet they become absolute superstars. So I think this is the right pick for the Chargers because they haven't had a dynamic tight end since Antonio Gates.
Right. And it's interesting because tight ends aren't a popular pick in the draft. They normally go, they're not. I interviewed Gronk about it, to be honest. 2 years ago. Yeah. There's only usually, I mean, they normally don't go first round, but we might see that this year with the Chargers. We'll see.
Yeah, I think if you're getting a dynamic playmaker, and my thought with Brock Bowers is number one, he's really good when it comes to pass or run blocking. He's another one that basically he can get open because I have been preaching this for years. Get a guy to destroy the middle of the field. This is why you struggle against Kelsey. This is why you struggled before he got traded to the Giants. You struggled against Darren Waller, and now you got Michael Mayer. And so it's just like the Chargers need to do the right thing with destroying the middle of the field. So I personally think, and this rumor has spread in the last couple of days. So Austin Eckler At one moment, he said, screw the Chargers. I'm choosing the free agent market. And then Jim comes in, he says, oh, no, I want to be back. My thing is like, look, how do you get a change of heart this quickly? But yet at the same time, the rumors are.
He was pretty gone last year.
Or
last
100%.
season. And I mean, it very well could be that he wants to stay because of Harbaugh, and I that would be great. But I mean, are the Chargers going to keep him? Like,
yeah, I want a guy that's willing to run, and I think at the same time, and at the same time, new offensive coordinator Greg Roman, he just preached about it. I'll be talking about it later on, but he just preached about it. Can you imagine Justin Herbert with a hefty run game?
Yeah,
that screams Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, or my hope is you go and you get a late first round or maybe an early second and you go and get Blake Corum. That's what it screams like to me. So they want to get hefty runners. So I think with Greg Roman, as we watched him in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, my thing is this is not a scare for me for Justin Herbert because he's getting a quality offensive coordinator. The one thing they can work on is the run game. And that went downhill last year. So I think if you get the right runner, and they've got a really good offensive line, and hoping that they get a replacement for Corey Linsley next season, because I think it was the right deal they did. Shed the cap, at least $10 million out of there. But at the same time, you got to get a really good center for next season, whether it's in free agency or you go and get the next guy. Who could you think, like in the free agency market or maybe possibly up in the draft, that the Chargers know I'm bringing in a guy that's willing to run and he is not afraid to get tackled?
Right. Yeah. I mean, no one's names are popping out at me yet, just because I haven't studied the new draft prospects yet. But no, I agree with you. They definitely need to rebuild some, and but I think rebuilding around Justin Herbert is like the absolute key. And I mean, obviously the absolute key was getting rid of Staley and bringing in Jim Huber. So yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. So shifting over to the Philadelphia Eagles. So this is interesting because it feels like to me in 2024, this is going to be a mulligan season for Nick Sirianni because now he's got two new coordinators in Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore.
Yep.
Do you feel like that these coordinators, with how their skill sets is put together, that we could possibly see the Eagles rebound and make up for what last season did? And could Sirianni's job be, I would say, redeemable?
I think I don't think it was Nick Sirianni's fault this season. I still don't know what happened. I don't know how the wheels fell off. Trust me, I was asking questions at Super Bowl, and Nikki can vouch for it because the amount of times I got the eye rolls because I was talking about the Eagles. But I don't think Sirianni was the issue. I think it definitely was the OC and the DC, both DCs. So one replaced the other, and the other was worse than the first. So yeah, I mean, Vic Fangio, you cannot get a better, defensive coordinator. And obviously Kellen Moore coming from the Chargers, original Dallas, like they're the best of the best. I think Sirianni's, job, all eyes are going to be on him. You know what I mean? But I think he can pull it off. We've seen what he can do in the past. I don't know. Something in my head, like Jalen Hurts, something was off with him this season too, unfortunately. I hate to say that because I mean, I don't want to go back to, I was one of the kind of the Jalen, I don't want to say doubters. I always think he's an amazing athlete, but I just didn't think he had the arm of like a franchise quarterback. But then that very first season, the last 2 seasons ago, I was at that, it was the opening at the link. It was a Monday night game and it was against the Vikings and it was Eagles Vikings and he just played ball. And I was like, okay, I'm wrong. This is our franchise quarterback or the Eagles franchise quarterback. And then they ended up in the Super Bowl, that season. But we just didn't see Jalen play to that same caliber that he played the season before. He made some really not great decisions on the field.
I mean, to hold AJ Brown touchdown list for a month. I mean, that's not like the Eagles to do that.
I don't know what happened. And I mean, I'm hoping to see AJ Brown back. I've interviewed him. I think he's an amazing, one of the best wide receivers in the league. And I actually got choked up interviewing him, to be honest. I was so excited. I made sure my cameraman, I had the right angles, and I was like,
oh man.
but,
I mean, you and me both.
With him too. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you and me both when it comes to like, big time athletes and when it comes to, even big time analysts at the same time too. I'm so thrilled and I'm so happy sometimes when it comes to interviews like that because it's just such an experience. It's such an experience that is going to live with you for a lifetime. And so that's why I'm like, to be able to do that is just an absolute blessing from there. I mean, we've talked about it so many times.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So a final thought, because Philadelphia's got a lot to deal with on their hands. The Commanders now the Commanders now have a new head coach who's going to work his side of the ball on defense. Now, who knows if they're going to keep their quarterback or they're going to draft one. It sounds like they're going to draft one, and their hope is it may be Caleb Williams. But then
but is Caleb Williams going to go to Chicago? Is Justin Fields going to go to Atlanta?
Yes, I've been asking that question multiple times. Even I even had a Chicago content guy who's been covering this team for years. Says, I want to keep Justin Fields. I don't want Caleb Williams. I want to get Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's the route they want to go. So now you got Dallas, who now brings in Ron Rivera as a defensive coordinator. So,
which I think that's where Ron shines.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. I just think the head coach, he went to one Super Bowl. Also, I mean, I don't think Sam Howell is that bad of a quarterback either.
No, I felt like because of the amount of times he got sacked, I'm looking at the offensive line.
You're looking at the O-line. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. He's got a dual threat in running backs. He's got weapons outside of tight end.
Brian Robinson Jr. is like legit Adrian Peterson. I had a conversation with the Washington Commanders former the RB coach. I think he just left to go to the Titans. I mean, literally at Super Bowl, we were talking about Brian Robinson Jr. and I was like, he's one of my favorite players. And he was comparing him to Adrian Peterson, which was amazing. And he was happened to be standing next to me on the other side of me.
Yeah, what a great story. I mean, and here's the thing is that to come back from a tragic incident where he got shot and then he comes back into the NFL and he's literally taking it by storm. I mean, kudos.
I was
like that. Yeah.
And then Terry McLaurin is literally my favorite wide receiver.
Yes.
In the entire league. I mean, he's scary Terry for a reason. I just feel like Ron Rivera couldn't, and I love Ron Rivera. I've said it so many times on the Blonde Blitz. I feel like he just couldn't get it together this season with, but the weapons are there. And I think Sam Howell with the right head coach and a head coach who's offensively minded, where Ron Rivera is more defense, I think Sam would shine.
Yeah.
So.
And Hunter, and the one thing of it is they got to find a tight end. They haven't found a productive tight end since Chris Cooley.
Yeah, and I'm like, who are they? I don't even know who their tight ends are.
Yeah, I mean, Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas, okay. I like Logan, but I just like Logan. I mean, he's been hurt a lot too, just to give him the benefit of the doubt. He had a couple good plays. I saw, he's been hurt a lot. Yeah,
it's been really, really hard. And then at the same time, I mean, it's unfortunate. I love Brian Daboll, but the Giants have to get it going. And I think mostly this is all on Daniel Jones. You're going to get paid $45 million a year. I better expect you're going to play like a $45 million a year type quarterback. Right. I mean, we watch Dak, we watch Kirk Cousins. Like, if you're not winning the primetime games, sorry, but I got to kick the tires up on this. But I think, unfortunately, because of Giants management for years since Dave Gettleman, they made the wrong decisions. And I feel like for Brian Daboll, he's like, look, if I get fired, you're doing me a favor. That means I could potentially go back to Buffalo, be a head coach if Sean McDermott can't get things right in Buffalo, or I could go and pursue a head coaching job elsewhere that I know I'm going to thrive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Brian Daboll definitely. He was a little bit on my list to get fired when we did the Monday Black Monday. He obviously kept his job, but Yeah, Brian Dable needs to step it up. But I agree with you with Daniel Jones. I mean, is he playing this season? Like, what's going on with that with the quarterbacks in the Giants, as well as you mentioned Kirk Cousins. I mean, I don't think he's going to go back to the Vikings.
Oh no,
he might be Atlanta's next quarterback too. I mean,
people have said the Raiders could be, but I don't think he's fit for that rebel Raider look. I don't think so.
I think the Raiders are going to be a force next season because of Antonio Pierce.
Oh, 100%.
Like, they're going to be ones to watch out for. I mean, he completely turned that season around in the last couple of weeks of the season. Imagine if that man would have been there from the get. So,
yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, this next NFL season, I think is just this is why we love NFL, because it's so jam-packed with so many storylines.
That's why I love it.
College football now. Finally, college football is finally going to come out with a video game after all these years.
Oh, yay. This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yes. So it's finally happening. College Football 25 will be released.
Oh, wow.
And so we have yet to see who the cover of it is going to be. But at the same time, this is
make some guesses on that?
I mean, Bo Nix. I mean, maybe, well, if it's Caleb Williams, it seems too obvious for many people. But at the same time, I mean, maybe Jaden Daniels. There's a couple of good names about there. I would love to see Michael Penix, but I just feel like people are looking at Washington like, you don't watch Husky football. How could you possibly have seen what Kalen DeBoer has done with his team? Like, but
it could be a whole team too. I mean, maybe it's Michigan, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I guess they just do one person, but you never know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so good that we have so many of these storylines, and this is why the NFL just
Russell Wilson. Where is he going?
Oh, Russell Wilson, I feel like could be a fit in either Washington or Atlanta.
Yep.
My hope is Denver, and I live here. Everybody in Denver does not want Russell Wilson back.
Oh no, I mean
they want. I actually would love to see Bo Nix in Denver, because I think he matches with Sean Payton's aggressive coaching ability. Because Sean Payton was brought there to build a culture and to fix Russell Wilson. He's done both. But Russell is way too finesse. If you think Russell is going to fit in Las Vegas, I mean, look, that's a slam dunk for his wife, but it certainly is not for Russ and the Raiders.
I could see Russell. I could see him in Atlanta as well. Poor Desmond Ridder.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
My hope is honestly, I would love to see the Falcons draft Michael Penix, because it might happen too. It feels a lot like, hey, anybody familiarized with Michael Vick? But he's stronger in the pocket. He's a pure thrower as a lefty. I would love to see that again in Atlanta. So
that would be good. Yeah, I mean, Michael Vick's shot. I mean, he's not my favorite football player. Amazing quarterback, but
I did ask one of my guys, and he was on the chat, Vocal Vike, great Minnesota Vikings content creator. He would love to put up a party when Kirk Cousins is gone. But the guy he is really hoping will be a Minnesota Viking is Michigan's J.J. McCarthy.
Oh,
he is really hoping he would be their quarterback, because he's a dog. He's a guy that, honestly, and Kevin O'Connell, you could come into an offense with an offensive coordinating coach to fix up your offensive skills at the same. And you got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. So you're not that far away. Yeah. All you need is a really good, capable running back, because they hurt in that position when we saw last year.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was
Kyle Pitts too, right?
TJ Hawkinson.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. So
Kyle Pitts is still.
Yeah, in Atlanta, yeah. So I think that loaded offense. But I mean, the biggest question is, where is Danielle Hunter going to end up going?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be one guy in that market they're going to have to let go, and then eventually they're going to have to let go of Harrison Smith, because it's going to be a defense that's going to be transitioning. They're going to change this over, but I think this next season is going to be jam-packed, but there's so many different changes, so many different exciting opportunities. But like I said to Nikki, I hope that next season is going to be our year for us to go into New Orleans and experience. Because again, I heard a lot of stories of Mardi Gras. I've heard a lot of stories of down up in Louisiana, and I love their Cajun cooking. So I'm like, I'm really excited for what next season is going to bring us.
Well, and hopefully Nikki and I will have a booth next season at Radio Row for the Blonde Blitz too. So that's our goal for next season.
Yes.
We were there in Media Row, and Nikki was complete. I mean, I love it too. But she was like, she completely fell in love. She's like, I'm doing this all the time. I want to be here all week. So.
Oh man. Emmy Award winning NFL analyst Deb Whitcas. Such a pleasure. We talked about this for like the last several times we've gone back and we're trying to put this together and we finally have. And I mean, we have now started a track record where we're getting the best analysts. So I had Nikki, I had you, and then hopefully, because I'll have Kim Becker, who covers a lot of the Colorado Avalanche. I'll have her up on the show. So seeing a lot of these women in sports making a killing off of it and just really, really expressing what the sports industry is really all about. I'm really excited for what the new wave is going to bring us.
Yeah, and we love it. It's my passion. It's my heart. I love football. I mean, I love baseball too. Don't get me wrong. My first love was baseball. My second love, my heart is football. So
you and me both up on that. Deb, I appreciate you. Yes, I appreciate you taking the time. Really hope to do this again soon, but absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much for providing us all with the best contents there up in Blonde Blitz. Hope you guys continue to do that as well. And we will definitely see you guys soon.
Awesome. I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Have a good
one. It's always great when we have, the best quality guests up on the show. It's really, really, really exciting. I can't wait to see what next season is honestly going to be like. And so joining us, because we know, listen, I live here in Denver, and in the last 4 weeks, the last 4 weekends, we've had nothing but an overhaul of snow. And I've been having to snowplow everything in every direction just in order for me to kind of get to my place wherever I decide to go to. But we got the snow rolling in, and it ain't just ordinary snows, but we got the snow himself, the snowman in the morning, Brian Snow, joining us here up onto the show. So, I mean, I'm not wrong for this when it comes to the outrage with Major League Baseball, because it continues.
Hell no, you're not wrong with that. You're not wrong with that outrage. You're talking to a third-generation Southsider, okay? I've been in both parks. I've been in Old Comiskey Park. I've been in New Comiskey Park. I've seen Ken Griffey Jr. play in person the night we clinched the division in 1993. I was part of the winning ugly generation. Thank you to my dad and my granddad. God rest both their souls. I was there when Scott Pasednik walked us off in Game 2 against the Houston Astros. I didn't have a voice. My ears were ringing. And majestic is the uniform. Okay? Majestic is the uniform. What the hell does Fanatics have to do with this?
I know. It doesn't.
It's wrong. It's wrong. It's what it is.
Yeah,
it's dead wrong.
It's so dead wrong. And look, I understand it. They could filter out the fans, but when you got players literally voicing out about this, it's time to resolve the issue. And again,
it's time to pull them off the shelves and be done. Forget if the play. Okay. My wife doesn't like baseball, but she loves how some football players look, and she's familiar with some of the brands from being around me. If your players are complaining about the material, the feel, the fit, and if it doesn't make them feel faster, I think that's a clue that you need to pull them off the shelves before the first pitch on March 29th.
Yes.
Find the lie.
And think about this. I could be okay with if you told me these were just spring training uniforms and they are not the regular season ones. I could be like, okay, I better not see these again. But if these get rolled out in the regular season,
I'm not watching.
I think you already know what the outrage is going to be like for baseball fans.
Listen, Jake, you and I are baseball guys. We've talked about this off the air. If they roll these out on March 29th, they're not going to see my eyes.
No.
They're not going to. If Adam Silver, God bless him, can figure this out. If Gary Bettman, and anyone who has watched Snowman in the morning knows how I feel about Gary Bettman, if he can figure this out, and roll out the sweaters he rolled out for the Stadium Series, of which I saw on March 1st, 2014, along with 60,000 others in the snow at Soldier Field, and that began as a 60-degree day, believe it or not. If he can figure this out, Rob Manfred, you have a problem on your hands.
Yes.
And the first pitch of the regular season hasn't even been thrown yet.
Yeah. And I mean, how many lists of problems has Rob Manfred literally had to come across on his plate? Because
Do we have time for that list?
Oh, dear Lord. I mean, I could name so many of them off the top of my head.
You're in Denver, Colorado. I'm not far from Chicago. I mean, those are two major cities. Do we have time for that list?
I mean, look, we already know that the reason of the Rockies debacle is because their front office.
Their front office sucks.
Oh, it's a family business. If you're not a part of the family business, you're not even a part of the big club. That's literally what it is.
That kind of describes the Dallas Cowboys, but who am I to gossip? So you ain't heard it from me. That kind of describes the New York Knicks. That kind of describes the New York Yankees, since we're talking baseball. And to be perfectly honest, it kind of describes a certain team on the north side of Chicago, which I have an unbridled hatred for, but I'm not one to gossip, so you ain't heard it from me.
Yeah, so I mean, so here's my thought about this. So, I mean, this next season of the NFL, we could clearly see that the Kansas City Chiefs are on everybody's radar, and including Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. But the thing about this,
they're on these guys' radar first.
Oh, man.
My wife bought me this hat. All right. She knows I'm a 49er fan. Matter of fact, one of the rules of the household is that the main answer is her team, which is the Indianapolis Colts. But she teases me all the time, knowing I'm a big 49er fan. You're right about the Chargers, but two things need to happen. One, they need a running back because Austin Eckler ain't coming back. And two, they need to go back home. And home is San Diego.
Mm-hmm. They needed to go back home to San Diego. I never understood the move from the beginning, but I think
here's what happened.
It's like,
you just said the main reason. Spanos. I would say a couple of other words in front of it, but I'm not going to do that. At least not here. Listen, SoFi Stadium was supposed to house the Rams and the Raiders.
Yeah.
How the Chargers got mixed up in all this, I will if you know it's bad when people who follow football in my family come to me and say, why are the Chargers in Los Angeles? What the hell are you asking me for? I always say San Diego Chargers. You've seen clips of me. I always say San Diego Chargers.
Yep, and so many other analysts have. Yeah.
I can't say for as long as I followed football, for as long as I've been an analyst of football, I cannot say Los Angeles Chargers. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Oh, neither could I. And here's the thing. If given the opportunity, and at the time going back to it, I would have been okay with if they moved to Las Vegas. I felt like that is a new culture. That is a new fan base that now allows everybody, because you put them in Los Angeles, they're not going to, nobody wants them there. It's a Raider, Ram, Dodger town and Laker town. It's like, why would you even add them?
It was a Laker town until Steph Curry put a foot in their asses last night, but we're not going to discuss that.
I mean, if you're talking Silicon Valley and Santa Cruz County, I mean, yeah. But I mean, if we're going from like Orange County to like down south, I mean, it's all diehard Laker. It's not all diehard Lakers. Well, let's not get it mixed up with the Clippers just because they're playing good right now, but it's not Clipper Town. It has never been good.
You know what? I liken the Clippers to the way people have likened the White Sox for years until we won our World Series in 2005.
Oh, yeah.
But the Clippers are never going to win a title. Why? They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Maybe this year could be a possibility, but we'll wait on that in the Western Conference because, I mean, you've got a Phoenix.
This is full of water. This could be full of vodka. Does that tell you? And I am not much of a drinker. Does that tell you anything?
So,
I mean, it's a Laker town for life. The Clippers have no business. They had no business moving to Los Angeles in 1984. They got no business being there now. And they're supposed to have a new arena built there. For what?
Yeah.
For what?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be interesting when MSG Arena is going to be built up. I mean, my hope is if it's as good as they say it is, I mean, hey, I'm fine with concerts. I'm fine with games, but you gotta not have this narrative of being the redheaded stepchildren of Los Angeles if you're literally going to be living there and you already know it's ran by the Lakers. So it's like, yeah.
There's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Ballmer and company have not gotten the memo. The same way Dean Spanos and company have not gotten the memo about it being a Rams town.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. So what's interesting about next year's the draft is going to be coming up, and I mean,
I'm going to be all over it. You know, I'm going to bug the daylights out of you to come on.
I know. So my thought is because I mean, the last time we had an overhaul of quarterbacks was 2020. We had 5 of them. Mm-hmm. Tua was questionable until Mike McDaniel came into the building.
Wrong. Tua is still questionable.
Well, yes. We started seeing that by the time it got too cold. Obviously, Miami is not built for cold weather in the postseason. We clearly
started seeing that after he got banged around by Cincinnati.
Yes, but we did see him be a productive quarterback in the regular season. Now,
true.
This year, I've got potentially almost 9-10 quarterbacks this year. Mm-hmm. I could pull off at least like 3-4 of them that I know that are going to be on the bottom half, but they could still be valuable, which is Sam Hartman.
Yep.
I do think Joe Milton,
correct,
in the right space, he could be a really good productive quarterback. And then I would also particularly say, because I mean, there's so many of them that I know for a fact that could be very sneaky as long as the situation works for them.
Jaden Daniels?
Yes. Well, Jaden Daniels. So this is what's interesting. So these 5 quarterbacks or 6 of them now that have been talked about.
Mm-hmm.
AJ McCarthy.
Yep.
Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. Drake May. Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix and Michael Penix. So my only thought is, and this happens to us every year, we get this many quarterbacks and only one falls off, which is like we thought we had this in 2020 because the only late rounder in the second round was Jalen Hurts. And so to me, my thought is my guess, I like him, but if you draft him, you better have a really good left tackle to support him, and that's Drake May. I watched him in the pocket, and there was one piece of film, and when I watched the pass rush come at him on his blind side, he was
ready,
stiff as a stone.
He wasn't.
That is one of the things I am very fearful for. Mm-hmm. But as far as the other quarterbacks, I mean, like I said, I think Atlanta could definitely work on Michael Penix. I think Jaden Daniels as somebody who can open up space out of the pocket, but also give you accurate throws. And as I've said, my sleeper of the draft is going to be Bo Nix because he has it.
Oh, yeah.
Since he's been in Oregon and he has, like, we've seen moments in Auburn, but when you're around Dan Lanning in Oregon, he has been he has had no mistakes.
None.
He's only thrown 3 picks since he's been in Oregon. That is it. So my thought is you put him in Denver or you put him in Minnesota. That could be a quarterback.
Minnesota's not going to be smart enough to draft Bo Nix. That dude's stuck on Kirk 2 Chainz Cousins.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think they're over that, though, because, first of all, if you're not winning primetime games and you're not even winning you just got embarrassed by Daniel Jones and the Giants the last time you were in the playoffs. That's not going to go over well. So my hope is
you don't have to go. You don't have to go over that one because I watched that one live, and my wife looked at me and went, "What?" I mean,
my hope is that you want to keep Justin Jefferson in Minnesota because you already got a home run in Jordan Addison.
Yep.
And you got TJ Hawkinson. All you could do is get a running back. The offensive line, it's going to figure itself out in the next couple drafts.
True.
But to your opinion, seeing these quarterbacks, is there anyone that basically comes out to you that you feel like, you know what? I've watched his approach. I watch how poised he is in the pocket. And I think that is going to be a franchise quarterback wherever he gets drafted from.
Bo Nix. Bo Nix, and I won't even blink. The close second would be Michael Penix. And I'll tell you and I will say a one-word reason for both of them. Experience. Experience. Hell, Michael Penix played in the national championship game.
Yep.
Michael Penix and his left-handed sling played in a national championship game. That's enough experience for me. And of course, I'm going to bring two quarterbacks to mind that had the greatest amount of experience that just played in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy. And and everybody wants to hate on Purdy because of the one attribute that I'm saying that Bo Nix and Michael Penix can bring to you immediately. Experience. You put a playbook in their hand, they will know it by the end of the day.
Yeah, and you know that is interesting because my thing is like Bo Nix compared to Brock Purdy. I think Bo Nix, honestly, like he's got similar football IQ, but I do think he does throw a better ball to an extent. But I also do think he does have the similar capability of running out of danger when the pocket collapses.
He did it in Oregon for 2 years.
Yes, he did. And so I'm a firm believer that I think Bo Nix will be that guy. And I do think because I've said it before, we felt this way about Justin Herbert. And then the second he came into the league, he took the league by storm and said, you know what? Patrick Mahomes has a new challenger in front of him.
Put an offensive line in front of Justin Herbert, and how high scoring would be those games between them and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I would also tell you that had it not been for an enormous gaffe 3 years ago in Los Angeles, not only would the Chargers have won that game, it would not have taken overtime, and the Chargers would have walked off with that division.
And the funny thing is, this is the same quarterback who went toe-to-toe with the GOAT, with Tom Brady.
Yep. He matched him foot pass for pass.
God, I really thought they were going to have a chance against Tampa Bay because that was such a damn good back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
That's
one of those games. Let me make a good comparison here. That's one of those Joe Montana, John Elway type games where you expect to see 800. Let me change that. That's one of those Dan Marino, Jim Kelly type divisional games where you see 800 yards of passing offense alone.
Yes. So here's an interesting topic. I'm going to get into this in the bottom half of it, but
all right.
Mike Tannenbaum.
Oh,
I think you already know what I'm about to say. And there's a reason why he's unemployed by the NFL.
And you wonder if he's ever going to be employed.
But to have the audacity to say Russell Wilson could work in New York with the Jets with Aaron Rodgers.
Timeout.
He's okay with being a backup. And I'm like, what? In what planet Earth does that make sense?
First of all, you wonder why Mike Tannenbaum is no longer employed by any NFL team. Second of all, you want to put Russell Wilson in the same sentence as 4 Days to Darkness, Aaron Rodgers himself.
Yes.
Now, what's the common denominator? I'm going to say something that'll really ruffle some feathers, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. What's the common denominator between Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers? It's a 3-word sentence. They're both finished.
But here's the funny thing. You're asking a Super Bowl champion to back up another Super Bowl champion. How does that work? It's like
and who the hell says Russell Wilson would take that offer?
I mean, let alone his wife is going to be making a fortune, whether she's in New York or Las Vegas
or anywhere.
Los Angeles. Like, but I don't know how that even. I don't even know how you could even add 2 and 2 together when it comes to Mike Tannenbaum, but it's just like,
Like I said, this is full of water. And if I was a drinker, this would be full of alcohol. You tell me which one Mike Tannenbaum hit first before he opened his mouth and inserted his foot.
So, so I got to get your opinion up on this. So, recently we've had the NBA All-Star game, and let me just say, what a drag of an
I watched 2.5 minutes of All-Star Weekend, and they involve Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu. Next question.
Oh man, and look, I've only watched 10 minutes of that All-Star game. And I was like, no, I'm done here.
That's 11 minutes too much.
Yeah. So my thing is, so 2 parts. Number 1, the dunk contest. Stephen A. Smith came out and basically said, and I don't think, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, but I do think his output on this kind of makes people think outside the box and says, LeBron James is responsible for the downfall of the dunk contest. I do think he makes a point of this for several reasons. 1, we've watched years of watching Dominique Wilkins
and Michael
Jordan. We've watched even times when we would watch Kobe and Shaq, and we've even watched Dwight Howard.
With the Superman.
Where in the hell are all of our big-time dunking superstars at? Zion? Giannis? Why are we now starting to trend downhill? Like, look, I'm okay with the Zach LaVine thing in Minnesota, but after that, he didn't have anybody else. Like, is he right? Is he right about that?
Yeah. Because LeBron is too chicken to participate in the slam dunk contest because he's got no creativity. Does his in-game stuff tell you anything, folks?
Oh, yeah.
Does LeBron's in-game persona and his in-game talent, if you want to call it as such, tell you anything about what would happen if he were to participate in a slam dunk contest? You thought the ratings were through the floor then? Imagine if he actually decided to show up and show out.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron James, look, don't get me wrong. He could still be the Swiss Army knife in the NBA, but the NBA is in good hands because we have Luka, we got Giannis, we now have Wemby.
You got number 30 in San Francisco.
Yes,
you got him. You got number 34 in Milwaukee. The league was supposed to transition from an era of Kobe Bean Bryant to LeBron James. Here's the problem. Wardell Stephen Curry II intercepted that.
Yeah, and I think honestly, and so this is my second part up on this is the NBA All-Star Game. I mean, All-Star Games, the only one that I could consider was really successful is Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. The reason of it is because players are mic'd up. Players have fun when they're there on the field, and they're not so susceptible to injuries. Whereas I'm getting 0 effort in the NBA All-Star Game.
211 points.
I'm getting a flag football game in the NFL.
Oh,
and I'm getting this 3-on-3 in the NHL. So it's like, I'm okay with keeping the contests, but I would get rid of the game entirely if you're not going to basically play with or instill some type of importance of these games. Home field advantage.
You know how you fix that problem? You incentivize their greed. You walk in, you say, "Look, I'll give the winning team will get $10 million a piece if you show some effort." The first All-Star game I watched was 1982 at the Meadowlands in New Jersey when a defensive play won the game. Thank you, Larry Joe Bird. I watched the game in 2001 in Washington where a defensive play decided the game. Thank you, Allen Iverson. Does that tell you anything?
Yeah.
When people actually care, let me go ahead and say my entire sentence. When players actually cared about playing defense, even though it's an exhibition game, and I've had so many modern NBA fans come at me saying, "You can't say this All-Star game sucked." Read my lips. The All-Star game sucked.
It was just such a snooze fest. Like, barely any effort into, like, look, you got over 200 points. Okay, you did something, but it was zero effort at the end of the night.
Hell, Magic Johnson's Midsummer Night's Classic produced a 200-point game, but they were still playing defense, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know what possibly they could do it. Look, I've been to the NHL All-Star game in Vegas when they held it, and I thought it was
Did they turn off the lights?
fantastic.
Did they turn off? Did they put on a show like they do for every Vegas home game?
100%.
Because every Vegas, I'm a Blackhawks fan by nature, but I'm a Vegas Golden Knights fan also because, and this is what got me hooked on the Golden Knights. One, my good buddy Rod Peterson.
Yep.
Secondly, they always come up with something new for the introductions.
Yes, they do.
They come up with something new every time for the introductions, and then the Knights just go out and put a foot in you.
That's why the production team is A+ rated.
Agreed.
Yes, and that's why, like, even in the All-Star game, when they did the puck relays, or they basically did like the pass shots. I mean, you had poker cards that as and then you also had like the entire backdrops. I mean, it was meant to be this kind of huge introduction and a huge production role that Vegas loves to put on. And now it kind of gives the whole narrative of, oh, I don't know how I feel about playing in Vegas. Now you're like, oh, I can't wait to play in Vegas.
Then you got the Super Bowl should always be in Vegas.
Oh, 100%.
After what I saw 2 weeks ago when
give me Miami or give me Hawaii back for the Pro Bowl.
Look, hurry up and blow the piss out of and fix Aloha Stadium in Honolulu. Please. Here's how you fix the Pro Bowl. First of all, the NFL has a ton of money on reserve. You blow up Aloha Stadium and you bring the game back to Hawaii. Don't tell me you can't build a stadium within 8 months in Honolulu, Hawaii, and can't attract a big crowd like the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors did on a weekly basis. That's how you fix the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl games, get that out of here.
Oh God, the Pro Bowl like skills. It was meant to be a vacation spot. That's what it was literally like.
You remember when players used to get excited about playing in the Pro Bowl because it was across the ocean in Hawaii?
The skills were more interesting and they were fun-filled, and it was beautiful being by
because you had it because it was on the island. It was in Hawaii. Besides the Super Bowl, that was the destination.
Yes.
That was the destination, man. Now you're having the Pro Bowl played in Orlando? What? What the hell is wrong with this picture? You could play a football game at Camping World. Look, they play college football at Camping World Stadium, okay? There was nothing back in the day about having the best of the best of the best play in Honolulu, especially when the Hawaii Warriors were getting very popular and the University of Hawaii had winning football teams. You tie all that together, and you got one hell of a vacation spot.
Yep. 100%.
You know what you do? You put the Super Bowl in Hawaii. How about that?
Yeah.
You can have it at Allegiant Stadium. Look, don't ever have the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium ever again. Ever.
I mean, hell, if we're able to have UFC on Fight Island,
yep,
we should be able to do this with the Super Bowl.
Exactly. If you could put the Super Bowl in Honolulu, Hawaii, do you know how many people would bust their rump to get to Honolulu, Hawaii?
Oh, it would be. I mean, good God, my wife and I. Look. I mean, I could watch the football game, but it's a vacation spot for my wife and I. We'd go there. We'd be all around the island. We probably would be sipping up on really good, sweet alcoholic drinks, and probably with the umbrella right there, right on the inside. And
it would be a big ass umbrella. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
because if they had the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl in Hawaii, and I got credentials for it, the first person I'm telling is Jody, my wife. Like, baby, we're going to Hawaii, and we ain't leaving for 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Oh, man.
I'm like, we ain't leaving for 2 weeks. I know my wife's eyes would just go this big. And when are we leaving? We are leaving in 48 hours.
Yep.
We are leaving. We ain't coming back for 2 weeks. Anybody that wants to catch us, look at the pictures.
Yep.
And I know you and your wife would do the same. Take a ton of pictures and stick your tongue out and go, nah, we're in Hawaii and you ain't.
Exactly. I mean, this is a vacation spot in general. We're such travelers, and we'd love to, enjoy every moment and every experience behind it. But
I made my wife a promise that when I get completely healthy, we're going to do a lot of traveling.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I'm so happy to basically see you as healthy as ever and being behind the mic and just doing exactly what you love. We've been talking about this for quite a while, and to finally have the opportunity to do it, absolutely a home run hitter from there, man. I appreciate you taking the time, being up onto the show. Where can people find you when it's snowy up out there and they got to catch the Snowman in the morning?
SNWMN Multimedia on all of my socials, including my new YouTube channel. And I applaud you for opening with that baseball rant, because I was sitting in the back just laughing my ass off. And I'm sitting there saying, he's saying everything that I'm saying about baseball. Oh my God, man.
You and Deb were literally having a ball at it.
I mean, my wife doesn't like baseball. She's told me that, but she honors me because I love baseball. I was doing a live stream in here one day, and I think it was the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros. And I didn't want to disturb her because I know how excited I get when I'm doing a play-by-play call. I went to bed and I said, baby, I hope I didn't disturb you with that walk-off home run call. She flipped over and went, huh? I'm like, okay, I'm good.
I mean, my walk-off call when the Dodgers and the Rays were playing was just out of this world. I mean,
that it was.
That was the best video I had in my last place. In the last place I worked at.
Nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Oh man, it was so good. But that's why a lot of people are like, dude, you've got to call the Super Bowl. You've got to call the World Series. You've got to call a lot of these games.
You know what? My wife came to me when Championship Sunday happened. When everything was determined, it was the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Lions and the 49ers. I signed off here after the divisional round miracle for San Francisco against Green Bay. And my wife looked at me and she says, you're doing both games, aren't you? I said, I'm at least doing the 49ers game. She says, no, you're doing both games, aren't you? And she had this wicked look in her eye, and I'm going, oh, no. I said, yes, baby, I'm doing both games. She says, good. You tell me what you want to eat, and I will get it. You're on.
There you go. There you go from there. Well, Brian, I appreciate you coming up onto the show, man. As always, you knocked it out of the park, man. Such a great collaboration, and hope to definitely have you up onto the show soon. But producing great content as you do, man, is great.
you're talking sports. You'll always find me. And I'll give you my favorite power hitters of all time. They were teammates once upon a time, Ken Griffey Jr., and of course the big hurt Frank Thomas.
Yep, 100%, man. I absolutely loved the bat speed of Barry Bonds. But
yes.
The guy I really like, I mean, it's so hard because there's a long list of them. Because I could go from Jeff Bagwell.
Yep.
To, at the very least, Derek Jeter is a hitter.
Derek Jeter.
Yeah, it's like there's so many lists of them. But I appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time. Hope to see you definitely soon. We're going to do this again.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, what a great collaboration of interviews that we've had. But I do want to end up getting into it. But first, we're going to end up taking a short break from here with our good partners at BetUS.
Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
Don't lose your seat today when you sign up on SeatGeek, one of the most trustworthy ticketing apps on the market. Use promo code SnakeSports for $20 off of your first purchase of your first ticket. Appreciate all of you guys. SeatGeek.com. That is SeatGeek.com. Don't lose your seat to SeatGeek. All right, so I was thinking about this, and I've asked, my interviewers who were on here, and, the biggest thing, I look at Mike Tannenbaum, and I don't know what exactly was I don't know what was running through his head, but to basically refresh for everybody here up on the show. But Mike Tannenbaum, basically, as you can already understand exactly why he's in the position that he's in ESPN. But not to bash the guy, but I think this thought and this narrative on Russell Wilson was really something that I really had to engage on. Here's what he basically said as a potentiality for what Russell Wilson's next destination should be.
Yeah, I think he would actually be a great fit with the New York Jets, and here's why.
Oh my gosh.
Why you want to
Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson?
Absolutely. Pay him $1 million and let him resurrect his career. I actually have experience with this. Vinny Testaverde got cut by the Baltimore Ravens. We signed him in June and went to the championship game that year. So if you're Russell Wilson and you don't get
Nola early, Mike.
Hey Bart, where else is he going to go? He has to resurrect his career. So if you have to sit for a year, why not sit behind one of the greatest of all times and then be a free agent again? It's when I was
reasons.
Guys, where is he going to go? He's 36 years old. No one's going to hand him a starting job. He's going to have to be a backup somewhere.
So now you can basically understand why that Mike Tannenbaum is unfortunately unemployed by the NFL. And I think we all can basically agree on that. But Russell Wilson, what this is basically saying is that you're basically pitching to me that Russell Wilson is washed. He is not washed. This past season, he has produced, thanks to Sean Payton. He's had 24 touchdown passes and 8 picks, which is not bad. But you could already tell the relationship between him and Sean Payton is combative because Sean is an aggressive and he's a very passionate coach. I don't know what Mike Tannenbaum was on, but I think we all could love to be on his level, but yet still have, at the very least, a logical thinking and capability when it comes to Russell Wilson. But the thing about this is that Russell Wilson will have a market. That is not a problem for Russ. But to sit behind, so you're asking one Super Bowl champion to sit behind another Super Bowl champion who's doing nothing but feeding you all of this mediocrity, and he's manipulating you with this, my auras, I'm smoking ayahuasca. He's feeding you all this stuff, and he's basically saying, oh, I could come back from an Achilles injury. In what world? Achilles injuries suck. It hurts. It's not fun. When you do this, it's painful. I don't know what Mike Tannenbaum is thinking, but this is part of the reason why he doesn't even have a general manager job anymore. So, to put this in perspective, Russell Wilson is not washed. Russell Wilson will have a market. Russell Wilson will be productive. But if you're going to basically disrespect Russ like this, which again, Russ has not been in his best shape and form since he went to Denver and they hired Nathaniel Hackett. They paid him early before he even hit the field in his first regular season game. And you hire Sean Payton, and you clearly know this relationship is not great. It's not meshing. They lost 70-20 against Miami, for God's sakes. So you could tell it's embarrassing and it's bad. Denver's ready to move on. But Russell Wilson will have a starting job somewhere, whether it's in Atlanta or whether it's in Washington. I don't think it'll be affordable for Minnesota, but I would like the thought. But I think Minnesota would rather go with a quarterback that's young, that's poised, and I think at the same time, he's going to work with all of his offensive weapons. So Russell Wilson will have a market. The Jets is not one of them. I don't know where in the hell you would even have that thought, but I think Mike Tannenbaum needs to stay off of whatever it is that he just had to basically have that thought. Russell Wilson is not washed. He's productive, but he needs to be in the right system that produces for him. You are not a pocket passer. You're a scrambling, and you're also a very, in my opinion, he is somebody who basically opens space out of the pocket. You're a spacing type quarterback. That's what you are. You've ran the football, you ran out of danger, and you threw accurately to many really good receivers. Get out of that habit that basically says you have to be a pocket poised quarterback, because it doesn't work. You can't see over your offensive line, and people have figured you out. But there's a market for him. And I think for Tannenbaum to basically say that for the Jets, I don't believe it. You're just going to feed a little bit more of this Aaron Rodgers stuff that's just going to do nothing but just basically feed into this absolute asinine take. I mean, it's absurd. So my thought with it is Russell Wilson could be in a much better situation. I don't see him fitting with the Raiders. I don't see him fitting with the Vikings, but maybe it could be a possibility. But I do see him fitting with Washington, and I could potentially see Russ in Atlanta if that is the case, because those are two capable franchises that can handle a guy like Russell Wilson. He's not going back to Seattle, so don't even put that thought out there, because Seattle figured him out. So I think you could do this right with Russ, and Denver can do this right with Russ. You want to make up that mistake? This is the way you got to do it. But I think we're far from any chance that Russell Wilson would be okay with taking a backup quarterback job with the Jets under Aaron Rodgers. That is not going to go over well. Not one bit. All right, guys, that's going to do it here for me on the show. Appreciate you all stopping on by. All-star candidate interviews. NFL analyst, Emmy Award-winning Deb Whitcas, and Brian Snow, Snowman in the Morning. Appreciate both of them for stopping on by up onto the show. If you haven't done so already, like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell button. Keep you up to date on future and past shows. There's going to be more of it. We got more interviewers around the corner. Can't wait to see what we have for next week, but I appreciate you guys for stopping on by tonight. We'll see you guys on the next episode of the Snake Sports Talk Show, and can't wait to see what we've got in store for next week. Take care, you guys. Have a great night. Be safe up out there, and we will see you on the next episode of the Snake Sports Talk Show. Take care, you guys.